Buckingham Palace, the grand throne room where monarchs have bestowed honors for centuries. And walking through those gilded doors, about to kneel before Queen Elizabeth II herself, is Keir Starmer, a man who had spent years proposing the abolition of the monarchy. He received a knighthood in 2014 for her services to criminal justice. He proudly invited his parents to Buckingham Palace for the event, who in turn brought along the family dog. His parents were there, beaming with pride. The family dog came too. It was, by all accounts, one of the happiest days of their lives. And the entire time, Starmer held beliefs that would have destroyed the very institution honoring him. The same man who often used to propose the abolition of the monarchy was now kneeling before the Queen, accepting a title that explicitly acknowledges her sovereignty over him, becoming Sir Keir Starmer, while privately believing there should be no Sir system at all. This isn't just hypocrisy. This is the most cynical exploitation of the honor system in modern British history. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this moment represents everything wrong with Starmer's political character and why his parents' pride was built on a lie. Let me paint the full picture of what happened that day at Buckingham Palace. The ceremony itself follows ancient protocol, steeped in tradition going back centuries. Starmer would have arrived in formal dress. He would have been instructed on proper royal etiquette, how to bow, where to stand, when to speak. He would have waited in the palace's magnificent rooms, surrounded by portraits of kings and queens, symbols of hereditary power everywhere he looked. Then came the moment itself. Queen Elizabeth II, then 88 years old, presiding over the ceremony with the dignity she'd perfected over 60 years on the throne. Starmer approaches, he kneels, the Queen taps him on each shoulder with a ceremonial sword, words are spoken, "Arise, Sir Keir." And in that instant, he becomes part of the system he claimed to oppose. He accepts a title granted by royal prerogative, acknowledging the Queen's authority to elevate him above ordinary citizens. He joins a tradition of knighthood stretching back to medieval times, rooted in the very hereditary privilege he supposedly wanted to abolish. His parents watched, proud beyond measure. He proudly invited his parents to Buckingham Palace for the event. They brought the family dog, making it a full family celebration. For them, this was the pinnacle of their son's achievement, recognition from the highest authority in the land. But here's what they didn't know, or perhaps chose to not acknowledge. Their son thought the entire ceremony was illegitimate. The Queen honoring him? He believed she shouldn't have the power to do so. The title he was receiving? He thought it represented everything wrong with British society. The palace they were standing in? He wanted its role in British life fundamentally diminished.
But this wasn't even Starmer's first time accepting royal honors while opposing the monarchy. 12 years earlier, in 2002, he'd already done exactly the same thing. Starmer was appointed Queen's Counsel on 9 April 2002, aged 39, taking silk as a Queen's Counsel, one of the highest honors a lawyer can receive in Britain. And what is Queen's Counsel? It's literally a title meaning you are counsel to the Queen, a senior legal advisor to the monarch, appointed by royal prerogative. The hypocrisy was already obvious by 2005 when he admitted on camera, "I got made a Queen's Counsel, which is odd, since I often used to propose the abolition of the monarchy." Odd? That's how he described it. Not wrong, not hypocritical, just odd, as if there was some quirky coincidence between accepting a royal title and wanting to abolish royalty. But there's nothing odd about it. It's calculated. He took the title because it advanced his legal career, gave him prestige, allowed him to charge higher fees, and opened doors to the highest levels of the British establishment. The fact that the title came from an institution he wanted to destroy was irrelevant to him. What mattered was what the title could do for Keir Starmer. So when he walked into Buckingham Palace in 2014 to receive his knighthood, this wasn't his first act of royal hypocrisy. This was him doubling down. First Queen's Counsel, now Knight Commander of the Order of the Bath. 2 royal honors, both accepted while maintaining Republican beliefs. The official reason for Starmer's knighthood was services to criminal justice during his time as Director of Public Prosecutions. And on paper, that sounds legitimate. The DPP is an important role. Starmer held it for 5 years. Surely he deserved recognition. But here's what the official story obscures. This was a political appointment, recommended by Prime Minister David Cameron, approved in the New Year's honors list, and granted by the Queen herself. Every step of this process involved the very hereditary monarchical system Starmer claimed to oppose. The Director of Public Prosecutions is appointed by the Attorney General, who serves at the pleasure of the Crown. The knighthood itself comes through the honor system, an explicitly royal prerogative where the monarch recognizes service to crown and country. Even the title, Knight Commander of the Order of the Bath, references one of the oldest orders of chivalry in the British system, established by medieval monarchs. So Starmer's services to criminal justice were rendered within a system topped by the monarchy, recognized through a royal honors process, and rewarded with a medieval chivalric title. Every single element of his knighthood was built on the monarchical structure he wanted to abolish. And he accepted it all, gratefully, proudly, with his parents and dog present to celebrate.
This brings us to perhaps the most tragic element of this story, Starmer's parents. They were Labour Party supporters who reputedly named him after Keir Hardie, the party's first parliamentary leader and a lifelong Republican. They gave their son the name of a man who scandalized Parliament with anti-monarchist speeches, who believed hereditary power was incompatible with democracy. And then they stood in Buckingham Palace, watching their son, named after a Republican firebrand, kneel before the Queen and accept a hereditary honor. Did they see the irony? Did they understand that the institution granting their son this honor was the same one Keir Hardie fought against his entire life? Did Starmer ever tell them about his years proposing to abolish the monarchy? Or did he let them believe he genuinely valued the knighthood, genuinely respected the Queen, genuinely saw this as a legitimate honor rather than a politically useful title he was willing to accept despite his beliefs? The day he was knighted was reportedly one of the happiest days of his parents' lives, but it was built on a foundation of unexpressed Republican views and cynical calculation. His parents' pride was real. His principles were not. But this knighthood hypocrisy isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a pattern that defines Starmer's entire political character. He was a Republican activist until he wanted power. Then he became Labour's most royalist leader in history. He proposed abolishing the monarchy until he needed to win elections. Then he stood beneath giant portraits of the Queen. He accepted not one but 2 royal honors, Queen's Counsel and knighthood, while maintaining beliefs that would destroy the system granting those honors. Every single time, Starmer has chosen personal advancement over principle. Every time there's been a choice between his stated beliefs and his career interests, the beliefs get abandoned. And the knighthood is the perfect symbol of this pattern because it's so personal, so visible, so permanent. He's not just Keir Starmer anymore. He's Sir Keir Starmer. That title follows him everywhere. It's on official documents, in parliamentary records, in news reports. Every time someone calls him Sir Keir, they're invoking the honor system he once wanted to abolish. He wears his hypocrisy as his title. And worse, he seems to feel no shame about it whatsoever.
But here's what makes this even more offensive. By accepting honors from a system he opposed, Starmer disrespected not just the monarchy, but everyone who genuinely values those honors. Think about the people who receive knighthoods and see them as the pinnacle of achievement. Military heroes honored for valor, scientists recognized for discoveries, public servants rewarded for decades of dedication. For these people, the knighthood represents genuine recognition from an institution they respect. And then there's Starmer, taking the same honor, performing the same ceremony, accepting the same title, but privately believing the whole system is illegitimate. It's like an atheist becoming a bishop, like a pacifist accepting a medal for military service, like a Republican becoming president of a monarchy society. The dishonesty poisons the entire institution.
Queen Elizabeth II spent 70 years taking her constitutional role seriously. She honored people with genuine belief in the meaning of those honors. And in 2014, she honored a man who thought her position shouldn't exist, who'd proposed abolishing the monarchy, who viewed the entire ceremony as theater rather than tradition. She deserved better. The honors system deserved better. Her parents, watching with pride, deserved the truth. And where is Sir Keir Starmer now? He's Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, appointed by King Charles III, serving at the pleasure of the Crown, leading a government that operates under constitutional monarchy. Every week he has an audience with the King. Every major decision requires royal assent. Every session of Parliament begins with the King's speech, written by Starmer's government but delivered by the monarch. The system he once wanted to abolish is now the system he serves and depends on for his power. He still carries the title Sir. He still benefits from the prestige that knighthood brings. He still serves a king, works within a monarchical system, and represents a crown he once thought should be destroyed. And not once, not one single time, has he publicly acknowledged this transformation. Not once has he explained how he went from Republican activist to knight serving a king. Not once has he addressed the hypocrisy of accepting honors from a system he opposed. He just moved on, changed his positions, rewrote his past, and hoped nobody would remember the Republican lawyer who knelt before a queen he thought shouldn't exist.
So here's what that knighthood ceremony really represented. The moment Keir Starmer's personal ambition definitively defeated his political principles. He could have refused the knighthood. Plenty of people have. They've turned down honors on principle, believing the system needs reform or abolition. Starmer could have joined them, could have stood by his Republican beliefs, could have said, "I cannot accept a title from an institution I oppose." But he didn't. Because the title was useful. Because Sir Keir sounds better than Mr. Starmer. Because in British society, a knighthood opens doors, commands respect, signals establishment approval. So he knelt. He accepted. He smiled for photos with his parents. He became Sir Keir. And his principles? They were left at the palace gates, abandoned like they'd never mattered at all. Buckingham Palace. Queen Elizabeth II granting a knighthood to a man who'd proposed abolishing the monarchy. His proud parents watching, his beliefs hidden, his hypocrisy complete. That ceremony wasn't an honor. It was a transaction. Starmer traded whatever Republican principles he still held for a title that would help his political career. The Queen granted the honor, believing she was recognizing genuine service. What she actually did was knight a man who thought she had no right to grant knighthoods at all. And the ultimate irony? That title, Sir Keir, is now his calling card. The man who wanted to abolish monarchy is known forever by a royal title. The Republican activist will go down in history as Sir Keir Starmer, Prime Minister serving King Charles III. His parents were proud, the Queen was gracious, and Keir Starmer? He got exactly what he wanted: power, prestige, and a title he never believed in but always knew he could use. That's not principle. That's not evolution. That's not even clever political strategy. That's just hypocrisy wrapped in medieval ceremony, honored by a queen and celebrated by parents who never knew the truth. What do you think? Can you respect a leader who accepts honors from systems he opposes? Is this pragmatism or betrayal of principle? Share your thoughts below, because this matters. When politicians fake their deepest beliefs for advancement, everything becomes performance and nothing is real. If this video exposed Starmer's knighthood hypocrisy, share it everywhere. Every time someone calls him Sir Keir, they should remember that title comes from a system he wanted to destroy, and he accepted it anyway.